Hey, what's going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. Today I'm joined by a special guest coming off of his Top 8 Dallas Regionals finish. We have Jose Marrero here today. How's it going, Jose?
Hola.
This is take number 2 for us. We were about 5 minutes in, and I look over and I'm like, man, I don't think Jose's sound is recording. And sure enough, it was not. So he was on a roll. I broke up his flow a little bit, but we're going to take it, rewind it back a little bit, jump back into things, and hopefully, it won't be that big of an issue. But we've got it figured out. I'm going to give Jose a real quick second to introduce himself. He is new to the channel, first time he's been on a video for me, so I want to give him a chance to introduce himself, let us know who he is, and what he's done in the Pokemon trading card game. So go ahead, Jose.
I'm Jose Marrero. I live in Orlando, Florida. I've been playing the game since 2010, right about where Supreme Victors came out. As notable accomplishments, I got a couple second place finishes at regionals. I'm state champion from Georgia. The last season they had state championships. I got top 16 U.S. Nationals, top 64 U.S. Nationals. I'm the Professor Cup champion, actually.
Nice, nice.
And back-to-back London top 64. I guess that's cool. And I write for 60cards.net, and I'm on Team ARG.
Awesome. Well, cool. We're taking a look here on the screen at the Golisopod Zoroark deck that you took to top 8 at Dallas. I'm going to ask you a little bit about the deck, some of the cards you included, but if you just want to go through first and talk about, what made you decide to want to play this deck. I know you played it at some League Cups leading up to the tournament, so I'm sure that had something to do with it, but if you just want to let us know what led to your decision to go with Golisopod Zoroark.
Yeah, so like you said, I played back-to-back League Cups at in Florida, which are expanded. So I looked at John Eng's top 16 Jose list, tweaked a couple cards. I added Ghetsis, I added Hex Maniac. I thought those were really important cards in expanded.
Sure.
So I ended up playing Golisopod at the League Cups. I lost one in top 4 to Buzz Lycanroc. The next day, I ended up playing the deck again. There was a lot more Toad Zoroark than the previous day since it won the previous day.
Okay.
And I hit 3 in Swizz, 1 in top 8, and 1 in the finals. So that getting to the finals that day netted me my 6th consecutive invite this year. So,
well, congrats on that. Always feels good to wrap up the invite for sure. And 6 years in a row, that's pretty awesome as well. So going from a League Cup to a Regionals is obviously like a big change as far as like size, player base, and also like the skills of the players you might be going up against. So what made you like confident that this deck would translate well from a League Cup meta into a Regionals meta?
well, I thought Toad Zoroark would see a lot more play than I figured. There wasn't even one in top 64 at Dallas. I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was actually pretty surprising. It was probably because all the Zoroark decks, they were all playing Ranger.
Yeah.
So maybe that might have affected it. And there's probably more Golisopod than people anticipated. And Wailord.
Yeah.
But from the League Cups, I tweaked the list after the League Cups because I was playing Mew EX and Mallow.
Okay.
And I had 2 float stones, so I dropped 1 float stone to Mew and the Mallow. For Dallas, I ended up adding the 2nd Enhanced Hammer, 1 Skyfield, and the 4th Zoroark GX. So that was the only 3 changes I made from my League Cups, leading into Dallas.
Okay, and we do see here you play the 4-4-1 split of Zoroarks. You've got the Forge Zoroark GX, which is pretty standard, pretty good, just getting those trade abilities into play as early as possible. But also the Mind Jack Zoroark that does more damage based on your opponent's bench size. There's also the Foul Play Zoroark, and a lot of the Golisopod Zoroarks lists that I saw leading up to the tournament were playing the Foul Play Zoroark and not playing the stand-in Mind Jack Zoroark. Do you want to talk about the decision between those 2 cards there?
Personally, I like stand-in a lot better than the Foul Play because you're playing a Golisopod deck, so the Foul Play is useful against like Lycanroc to copy the Dangerous Rogue, but then again you have Golisopod that can one-shot Lycanroc.
Sure.
So for that scenario, I didn't think it was too relevant. But then Wishy-Washy is a card that could have came into play where Foul Play can copy Wishy-Washy GX attack and knock it out.
Mm-hmm.
But the Wailord decks that I played against the Wailord, they didn't play Wishy-Washy, so that didn't really matter anyways. I just Golisopod knocked out the Wailords. But
nice.
Foul Play can also copy, what else, like Buzzwole. Mm-hmm. Buzzwole, I guess, is a good one to copy. But other than that, I didn't think Foul Play was all that good, because it's not really good against Night March. It's not really good against the Lonzo decks, because stand-in is what you want to do when they get Buck out and one-shot you with a big bench. So you just stand in the Mind Jack for the revenge knockout. And another scenario where stand-in is also good is against Wailord, because you stand in and then Guzma Wailord into the active, so with your Golisopod in the bench.
Oh, okay.
That's an easy way to just keep, using Guzma in and out for easy knockouts.
Sure.
And aside, of course, the status effects, poison, stand-in is good for that.
Yeah, definitely useful for those things.
Yeah, I felt like the stand-in was a lot more useful than Foul Play.
Okay. Definitely some good points there. You also have the 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer, adding a little disruption to the deck. Obviously, double colorless energy is extremely popular and expanded. Like all the top decks play multiple 4 double colorless energy. So do you want to? So was that like super useful throughout the weekend having those 2 copies?
I definitely expected Golisopod mirror matches. So the 2 hammers were mainly for the mirror matches. And like just the Zora decks in general, but more for the Golisopod variants, because they don't play Skyfield, so you're in the you go into the Acerola wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever you Acerola plus Enhanced Hammer, you force them to use either force them to use early puzzles for DCEs, which means that's less Via Seekers and less Acerola, so you're more likely to win the Acerola war. So. Or if they ever miss a beat of an attack, then you basically just win anyways, because they just literally just passed.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it for that.
No, makes sense. In such a heavy special energy meta, Enhanced Hammer is definitely always nice. You also chose to include 1 copy of Skyfield, I'm assuming just for that burst turn to be able to bust out a Riotous Beating for 210 damage. Was that extremely useful having the 1 copy? Did you find it hard to find it at times when you needed it, or was the 1 count just enough?
Yeah, that was my latest inclusion, like the last minute. It was really meant for the mirror match, because when, like I said, you're in the Acerola Wars, so late game you would have, once you get down to 2 prizes or 4 prizes, you can drop it down Hex Maniac and one shot a Golisopod or a Zoroark. And they pretty much won't see that coming, because we'll play Skyfield and Golisopod, right?
Sure.
So it didn't really come into play against the Lonzo decks or the Lycanroc decks, because they played their own, so it wasn't too relevant in that matchup. It could have been relevant against Wailord, against Wishy-Washy, if they played Wishy-Washy, because it has 210 health. So technically you could one-shot it.
That's a good point.
But other than that, it wasn't too relevant. But I love the idea of having the 1 in the deck.
No, for sure. It definitely makes sense for those reasons, and those are good enough reasons in my eyes to make it worth a spot at such a big tournament.
Actually, it came into play one time, day 2 against Roscoff, and I filled up the bench to one-shot his Stoutland.
Okay.
But that was actually relevant there.
Yeah, that's another situation where I'm sure you were glad that you chose to play stand-in Zoroark as opposed to foul play Zoroark.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, looking at the day before the tournament, were you pretty set on this deck Friday night? Had you gotten your list hammered out, submitted it Friday night, or were you still kind of struggling maybe between this and another deck, or is this kind of the main choice for you?
I'll be honest, as soon as the deck list submitter came out, I submitted my list.
Wow, really?
It was the Thursday or Friday. I was probably the top 5 people to submit their list.
Huh.
I already had it submitted.
Wow. That's awesome. A lot of times I feel like people are scrambling the night before the tournament, figuring out last spots, figuring out what deck they want to play even. So You were just prepared like a couple days out. You're like, you know what? This is my deck. I'm going to go with it. And, it worked out for you. So
And same 60 that I turned in, so.
Nice. Very nice. So we'll go ahead and hop into the tournament, starting off with, day one of Swiss. How did day one of Swiss go for you?
Day one, I finished 7-1-1.
Okay.
Should I just go over my rounds?
Yeah, go for it, if that's what you want
Round
to do.
one,
Yeah.
I ended up playing against, actually, Xander Bennett's girlfriend.
Okay.
She was playing Gardevoir. And game one, I go first, Bridget, plays stuff down. She goes first, turn one, opens routes, pass.
Ooh.
So I'm like, okay, float, stone, retreat, first impression, knockout. So immediately we go to game two.
Oh, man.
Game two is like a long one, but she just kept whiffing energy, so I'm just two-shotting her Gardevoirs. She eventually gets Gallade out, but that's like her only attacker. So I ended up cutting that for the knockout, and she just didn't draw too well, and I take a good quick 2-0.
Yep.
Round two, I'm against Lonzo with the 1-1 Lycanroc.
Okay.
So I guess it was maybe Simon Aron's list from San Jose, from top 8, because he did play the 1-1 Lycanroc. I ended up winning that 2-0. Round three, I'm against teammate John Ang. So this one was funny. He's playing Night March with Maxis. So he's playing Machoke, Gallade, and Marowak. He's playing all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fairly confident in the Night March matchup, but the way his was built was like, all right, he has Machoke to shut off Oricorio, he has Gallade for Zoroark. So I knew it would be like a more difficult Night March variant. But no, he goes first, Lone Joltik, Trainer's Mills, I think, ends. No, Joltik and has no bench.
Oh.
Pass. I'm like, cool. Float Stone, retreat, Lele, knockout. I down turn one. We move on to game two. He doesn't get a turn one Maxis. After that, I'm just running through him with Zoroarks. He just like draw passing. So after he scooped like turn 3 or 4.
Oh wow!
So that series lasted maybe like five minutes.
Dang.
So I'm 3-0 now. Let's see. Round 4, I'm against the mirror match, which funny enough is my exact 60.
Okay.
So my opponent had my swim. I don't know where he got it because I did tell a couple people like the deck, but
sure.
I didn't care. I was like, knowing it was the same 60, it helped me because I knew what he was playing.
Right. Yeah.
So he actually told me that before the round. I was like, nice to know.
Thanks for that information.
When he played the one Skyfield, I was like, yep, that's definitely probably about 60.
Dang.
And he played multiple enhanced hammers.
Yep.
It's like, I ended up winning 2-0 there. So moving on to round 5, I'm against Lycan Zoroark. This matchup was like a 50-50 maybe for Golisopod Zoroark, even though you have the weakness typing, But I win game 1. Yeah, I win game 1. Game 2, my opponent wins, barely wins that one. And then those games took a while. So game 3, I'm up 3-6 prizes, but time is called.
Couldn't finish.
Not able to pull it out, although I was up 3 prizes. So we tie there. I start off 4-0-1. Yeah, 4-0-1. So now we're in round 6. Mirror match again. And my opponent says he's playing my list. But this time, I think it was my League Cup list. So it was the one with like Mew.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. So I win game 1. Game 2, my opponent makes a huge misplay. We're both 3-3 prizes. And he just miscalculates his damage. We both had Sudowoodo out. So the turn before, he hit my Zoroark to 80. So next turn, he might have forgot Sudowoodo or something, and he attached a choice band and only did 110. So the 80 plus the 110, he just didn't bench another Pokemon.
Oh.
So he should have did 130 to knock me out.
Right.
He just calculated. If he did knock me out, it would have definitely went to game 3 because we were both 3-3 prizes. So he would have went to surprise. So a little mess up from my opponent there. I felt bad for him, but hey, we take those, right?
For sure.
So I win the next. I win that one then. Win game 3 there, or no, I 2-0 him. My bad.
Right, yeah.
So that was round 6. Yeah, that was round 6. So I'm 5-0-1. I'm like, cool. Round 7, I'm against Nolan Feta.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing Wailord. So I'm fairly confident in the Wailord matchup. I know how to play against the matchup. You basically just get the stand-in. You get as many Zoroark GXs out, get the stand-in out, and one Golisopod. And you basically just keep stand-in, Guzma, choice band knockout, stand-in, Guzma, choice band knockout. Just simple, right? Just grass energy.
And you said he didn't play the Wishiwashi GX?
Yeah, he didn't play Wishiwashi. He played Xurkitree and Wailord and Hoopa, I believe.
Okay.
So the Hoopa, I can just Hex Maniac, knock that out. Xurkitree, I could also Hex and Crossing Cut, knock it out.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Hex and Crossing Cut. But every time I attacked with Golisopod, I made sure I had 2 grass. So I had 2 grass on it. So I attacked, so it would get grunted.
Sure.
I would puzzle for another grass, put the grass on, so I would have 2 grass every time. So if they play grunt, then I still have a grass. So I win a quick 2-0 there against Nolan. Probably about 20-minute game, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a little less. So I'm 6-0-1. Need to win one more for day 2. Round 8.
At this point, sorry, real quick. At this point, did you consider just trying to take 2 IDs, or did you really want to chase the match points?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna do the double ID, but then I'm against Jay Lesage.
Oh, also playing Wailord.
Playing Wailord, but he was 6-1, so he wasn't 6-0-1. So I played down to him, so he was 6-1.
So
also,
he could
I
not
played,
ID.
even if he did, I wouldn't have ID because I just threw all the Wailords. I was like, wait a second, no, we're playing this. Right. He didn't offer the ID anyways, but
right.
we
Better to take advantage of getting those match points in day 1.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I can get a 7-1. So we play. Game 1, destroy him. Game 2, I open Bridget. No, I open end bridge end. I think I have to end, and I draw my Hex Maniac off the end, and he opens Xurkitree. Okay. So he GX attacks, puts my Hex into the prizes.
Ooh.
I saw a couple turns later I scooped because he AZ'd up his Xurkitree and just left as lone Hoopa.
And there's nothing you could do.
So I couldn't do anything. I scooped game 2. Game 3, I do what I do, stand in, Guzma knockout. He ended up benching 3 Wailords game 3. I'm not really sure why. But we take those. I just took knockout after knockout after knockout. So 7-0-1 now. And I was talking to Brad and Azul and people and just debating if I should just ID the last one. And then they just told me, no, there's no point. You're not trying to. You're trying to win the tournament, right? I'm like, yeah. So you want to play your last round out, even when you know you're in day 2. You might as well play out all your rounds.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about, actually, you're right.
Makes sense.
1 point. The ID is just 1 point. So of course now I'm against a 7-1. Yeah, 7-1. Jonathan Perenata playing Shocklock.
Yep.
I was like, great. Awesome. Not good. That's a bad. That's like an auto loss.
Sure.
Because even with the stand-in Zoroark, there's only one.
Yeah, they can just paralyze it.
They play the counter catcher, so they would counter catcher and lock that up, or just Lysander and lock it up. So that's what happened both games. He got the ultimate lock, and he took that. So he finished 8-1. I finished 7-1-1.
Mm-hmm.
So that was day 1. So I only got 1 loss and 1 tie.
It's pretty good. Got to feel good about that at a 1,000-person tournament, winning 7 games. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I was in 10th seed, I think, going into day 2.
Yeah. Awesome. So going into day 2, was there anything you were like worried about hitting in the day 2 field that was like in your bracket at your record?
The only person in my bracket record there was like 11 or 12 7-1-1s, and Ross Cotton was one of them.
Oh, okay.
I was like, just give me anyone but Ross. Sure enough, round 10.
Oh gosh.
Cotton.
Oh no.
Immediately, I type in my chat, wow, I get Ross round one after like 11 or 12 7-1-1s.
Man.
Everyone's like, rip. So we ended up playing game one. He doesn't draw too well, so I'm just Guzmaning back to back, knocking out all his the little Lilleeps, I think they're called.
Lillipup.
Lillipup.
Yeah.
So
Lilleep's like a fossil Pokemon, I think.
Oh yeah, Lilleep. It's Gilly's middle form.
Yeah.
So I just knock out Lillipup after Lillipup to where he can't even set up. So I win game one. So I'm like, all right, cool. I won game one. At game two, I have to just make sure it's like long game two, basically.
Sure.
To try to just take the game. So game two, he eventually gets the setup going. You know, I'm drawing, passing. I'm taking like 5-second turns, like, you know, reasonable turns. Eventually comes to the late game where I know I have to slow down a little bit because I saw Ross. He kept looking at his watch, and eventually he stopped cutting my deck, or stopped tapping or cutting. Yeah, sorry, cutting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he stopped cutting. He's looking at the watch. I know time's gonna get called soon. Maybe I should slow down a little bit. So I slowed down a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but it was reasonably slowed down. Not like 30-second turns.
Sure.
It was just like 5-second turns, or I'll play like an Ultra Ball, or I'll put a Choice Band down, or Energy down.
Yeah.
Towards the late game, when time was about to be called, I played down four. I played 4 Via Secrets on the same turn. So I'm like, Via Secret, I'll grab Sycamore. Via Secret, you know, take a little bit of time, but you know that's still legal.
Sure.
Via Secret for cards, you know. And then I ended up Ultra Balling 2 Pokemon from my hand and then stretching them into the deck.
To add more cards, yeah.
More Pokemon into the deck, so I don't draw as much. So time's called. I have 3 cards left in the deck, so I know I win at this point, and I was turn 0. So I pass. You know, he passed, I pass, he passed. So I win.
Nice.
From that way. So that's round 10. Round 11, I'm against the champion, Riley. He was 10-0 at this point.
Yep.
So I was joking around, man. I was like, man, you're 10-0. I'm going to have to stop that. Nope, I got destroyed. Game 1, I'm not kidding you. He opens Red Card and Bridget.
Oh, man.
In his hand, just already in his hand.
Yeah. And
he went first. So I was like, all right, that's nice. So off the red card, I'm forced to end. So immediately, I know I'm way behind. I don't have a Bridget turn 1. He Bridget. So he wins game 1. Game 2 is a little closer, but eventually he bounces back. He does the red card plus Hex play plus knocks out my Zoroark.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did he not take a knockout, put me down to 4 cards. Now I can't play abilities. So all it took was that one turn to just get back into the game.
Yeah.
So he beats me 2-0, but I was fine with it. You know, I was like, one loss. So now round 12, I'm against the mirror match. So I knew I was happy about the mirror match. I pretty much teched my deck out for the mirror match. You know, the double hammer, 1 Skyfield.
Sure.
The hammers in this game were flawless.
Nice.
He was whipping attacks. I would also Guzma knock out something like a Zoroark or Wimpod and hammer him at the same time just to stay up on prizes. I win that 2-0. Round 13. This round, literally all the Trampa players, Brad, Azul, Pandaras, Igor, I think they were all the same record. We were all the same record. I think 28 points.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, it's likely I'm going to play one of them. So sure enough, I ended up playing Brad, and I was somewhat confident in the matchup because I know they play Parallel City and stuff, so yep. I can't really attack with Zoroark, but I have Golisopod. Golisopod still one-shots, you know, Garbodors, and still can knock you out because I can still do 110.
Yep.
So game 1 against Brad, it's a fairly close game. At one point in the game, I hit his, I think I armor press his Trampa. So next turn, I end to like 6 or and then trade for 2 or something like that, and I have to hit an energy to revenge him with Lele. And I hit it off. I don't get it off the end of 6, but I get it off the trade for 2. So I was like, whoo! So I hit that, knock him out, and from there I just kept ace rolling my Gilisopods, refreshing them, and every time he benched the Trubbish, I would Guzma knock it out.
Yeah.
He didn't get Garbotoxin out game 1, so I take that out. I win game 1 pretty easily. Game 2, it's a little better. He does get Garbotoxin now. He gets parallel out. Both games I was parallel out the whole game, the beginning to the end. But because the Golisopod could just attack for grass and not have to worry about Righteous Edge, I could just do these. And I also threatened crossing cuts. I did crossing cut a Drampa for knockout a couple times.
Yeah.
This one, yeah, he gets the Garbotoxin, and I have a dilemma. I'm like, do I just knock out the Garbotoxin, or do I knock out his Trash Lance, which can potentially knock me out next turn? So I'm like, I think getting rid of the draw, or giving myself my draw for the rest of the game, is way better. So I ended up going for the Garbotoxin, and yeah, that was definitely the way better play. Because I had like 2 Zoroarks out, so I was just trading for the rest of the game and ace rolling. So I went 2-0 there, and now I'm at 31 points. So I know I need to win 1 more and tie, or just win basically 1 more to be like I'm round 14 against James Taylor. He ended up getting top 4 with Lonzo.
Yep.
He was at 34 points. I was at 31 points. So I knew he was in with an ID. If he just IDs the last one, he would be in cut. So of course I offered the concession, and he was nice and gave it to me. If I was in his shoes, I do the same, because I know I could just ID into cut.
Sure.
So he ends up giving me the game. So 34 points. He's at 34. Last round, I'm against Kid Stark, also 34 points. So we ended up hiding there.
Nice.
So
heading into that's the end of day 2, correct? So
yeah. Heading
into top 8 once the bracket comes out, and you see who you're up against. Also, first off, seeing your name up there in top 8 of a, I always say like it's totally different. Like talking about like, oh yeah, I made top 8, but then when you actually like see your name up on the paper, it kind of like becomes real. You're like, man, that's my name up there. I did that. So how's that feeling for you?
Well, given that I haven't top 8'd since a regional since 2014.
Oh wow, yeah.
Back when Ryan Sablehouse beat me in the finals of Florida regionals.
Mm-hmm.
That was the closest I've been before that was last season at Anaheim. I bubbled at 9th.
Yeah, I remember that with Gyarados.
Yeah. So aside from a bunch of top 64s, I was happy. A lot happier this time. My goal was basically not to get top 64. As long as I get top 32,
yeah,
I'm happy.
Awesome.
And, so yeah.
Well, you made it happen. You made it happen. So, going up into top 8, who did you see you were up against, and what were they playing?
I'm against Kid Stark, who I ID'd the last round too, playing Lycan Zoroark. I thought I was a little confident going into this match, although I knew it could be like a 50-50 matchup. But game 1, he's just running through me. But eventually, I start to make a comeback with double Golisopod, and I start armor pressing for knockouts. So I armor pressed a Zoroark that had 80 on it, and I had a choice band, so I did 130 plus the 80, knocked him out, so he can't knock me out next turn. Following turn, he just knocked out a Zoroark, so with the Glycanrock, so now I can armor press for another 2 prizes. So at this point, I'm at 2 prizes. He's at 2 prizes, I think, or 3 prizes. I think 3 prizes.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, all I need to do is Guzma, Lele, crossing cut, knockout, right? Next, no, he's at 2 prizes, so it's 2 prizes. But because I have a bench Golisopod, he's at 1 prize. Sorry, now I remember.
Yeah.
I had Golisopod active. I'm at 2 prizes with Windpod on the bench. That was my only bench. So I was like, I need to evolve this Windpod ASAP because he can just take a cheap, 1 prize knockout. So next turn I evolve it to Golisopod, but he can still potentially win because he can Guzma and still do 210 to it.
Yep.
even though my active was the one that I armor pressed with. So next turn, he's digging and digging. He bloodthirsty eyes my bench Golisopod. At this point, I'm like, yeah, that's game. He wins. But I think he ended up being one Pokemon short for the knockout.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, I have a chance. So it's still 2-1 prizes, and his Lele's still on the bench. And all I need is and I didn't have a Guzma in my discard. I was like, what? I have double puzzle in my hand, no Guzma in the discard. I played 2 of them, and no computer search in the discard. So I could have won either of those cards in the discard, but I didn't have it. So eventually it gets down to 1-1 prize. I knock out his Bunnelby, and then he ends up, I have a 3-card hand. One's a float stone, one's a puzzle, or one's something else. So I know next turn I can just float stone. Hopefully I top deck a Guzma or a computer search to win the game.
Yeah.
I have a 3-card hand, and he ends up Getsising me.
Ooh.
Out of the blue, and gets my whole hand. Takes all 3 of my cards.
Oh, no.
I should have maybe attached the float stone, but I was like, I didn't expect a 3-card hand Getsis. So he ended up getting my hand away. Hits my active Golisopod. Next turn I draw a dead card, and then next turn he Guzmas for the knockout.
Oh, man.
So game 1 ended up 1-1 prizes, which I was actually surprised. And I still had a turn to win, but I just didn't have a Guzma. So game 2, it's a good game. I get the first knockout. I got Golisopods going. Sure enough, the late game happens. I'm at 4 cards in my hand now. He gets my hand away again, all 4 cards, and I have 3 Zoroarks out, but with no hand, it's not as great because he has Muck out, so I can't egg anyways. So at this point, I'm like, I probably lost. So I draw, because at the same time he off the Getis, he hit computer search because I went and rewind and watched the video.
Yeah.
He hit computer search to get Skyfield, I think, which he then bloodthirsty eyed my Lele for a cheap knockout, which got him down to 2 prizes, and I was at 3 prizes.
Yeah.
So I know already he's threatening the game next turn because of that 2 prizes. So because he gets my whole hand, I'm like, well, I don't really have many options here. And he has a Skyfield out and everything. So I'm at this point, I know I've probably lost next turn.
Mm-hmm.
I draw. My top deck is a puzzle. Of course, I have to puzzle it. I have to throw it away with trade. I toss it. I trade away something else. I put another Zoroark down, trade it away. And I just draw nothing. I draw Ace Roll, Ultra Ball, and something else. I can't even Lele because he has Muck out.
Yeah.
All I can do is first impression for 120, and then he just scores his for a bunch and benches 8 Pokemon and knocks me out.
Yep.
So he wins that one fairly easily. Just a double guess that just slaughtered me.
Well, still coming away with a top 8. Got to feel pretty good, finishing, top 8 out of 1,052 Masters, I believe is what the final number was. That's pretty nuts. So I know you wanted more, but an accomplishment that can't be understated. So congratulations to you, Jose.
Gracias.
So I do want to ask just real quick, looking back at the tournament, obviously the list worked out pretty well for you. Do you think there's any changes you would make, though, if the tournament were tomorrow again?
I probably had a red card.
A red card. Nice. Yeah, red card just seems so good.
Like, after I saw it happen to me, it was just like, this is ridiculous. This is like, it's really good because even the finalist decks, both of them were playing basically Lonzo with the 1 red card because Isaiah played it too.
Yep.
And they both went to the finals. That card probably won so many games.
Yeah, when we did the interview with Riley, he said out of the 15 games of Pokemon, or he only played 12 games of Pokemon through the weekend because of his 1 scoop and 2 IDs. Yeah. So he said out of those 12 games that red card was instrumental in winning 8 of those games. So that's some pretty good return on just a 1 card slot.
That combo is dirty.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he went basically undefeated.
For sure. So I do want to ask, I asked Brad and Jimmy this in the video yesterday, just looking back at the weekend, and there's been a lot of discussion online about the expanded format in general. Do you have strong feelings either way about expanded? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's just kind of in a weird state right now? What are your opinions?
I like expanded is all right. I think Getis is probably like the most annoying card now. Like after the banning of Archeops and Forest, Getis is probably the next card that has to go, just because it's just no fun. That card is just not fun.
Sure.
But
I can understand. Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
All right, expanded is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Getsis is definitely a card I think people love to hate, but we also, we could see people building their decks in ways that they're not super hurt by Getsis. I know the Garbiter deck, it doesn't, hate being Getsis. It can still hurt it at times. And then we saw, like, Andrew Mahone come out with his list with 0 VS Seeker and just playing a ton of supporters. And he said people would Getsis him all weekend assuming that he, would have some VS Seekers in hand or something, and they just come up empty. So maybe it's just like a change in mentality of like deck building or something like that people need to make.
Yeah,
but
makes sense. That actually reminded me. Just glad you said that.
Yeah.
Against Brad in day 2, he big wheel GX. I'm like, all right, gets this. Only one item.
Oh yeah.
Only one item. I'm just like, what? But yeah, that was a scenario where, like you said, Drapa didn't play much.
Yeah, Getsis can be good in those situations as well when your opponent has a large hand, because just being able to go and draw like 4 or 5 cards off the top of your deck is pretty great. Even if you're like not like, sometimes I would play Getsis this weekend, not even needing to mess up what my opponent was doing, but just needing to draw a little deeper without using Colress or something like that. So it's been useful for that. But that's all I have for you, Jose. I appreciate you taking time to come on. I'm going to give you a quick second here if you want to do any plugs, any shout-outs, your social medias, your team, websites, all that stuff. Feel free. The floor is yours.
All right. You guys can check me out on Twitter, Jose_Marrero TCG. You can follow ARG Pokemon page on Facebook. If you want to keep up to date with when we post our lists and stuff.
Sure.
From tournaments. You can check out my articles on 60cards.net. You can also, ARG's also having state championships like before, ARG state championships. The weekend of Australia, so if you're not going to Australia, you can try to go to your local ARG states if they have it there. You can try to get your invitational, ARG invitational, which is like a regional prize payout basically.
Yep.
Except first is $2,000 as opposed to $5,000, but the whole tournament. But that's just free, extra testing, a way to win some extra cash. It's fun.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, and thanks for having me on, Chip.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jose. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll leave a link to all of Jose's things that he just mentioned down below in the description of the video. Definitely make sure you go following him on Twitter and all that good stuff. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at TrainerChip. Links to those things are always in the description, as well as my articles on someone'spc.com. Guys, thanks for watching. For me and Jose, that is going to do it. We're going to get out of here, and until next time, guys, take care.
Take it easy.